Tonight from Milwaukee, former President Donald Trump to speak to the nation from the Republican National Convention here. ABC will carry it live. And President Biden, battling COVID, tonight reports he is now more receptive to discussions about whether he should stay in the race. And tonight here, we remember a comedy legend, Bob Newhart. First tonight, President Biden and the future of his campaign. COVID forcing him off the campaign trail and into isolation at his home in Rehoboth, Delaware. Following pressure from key allies to step aside, including Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, influential donor George Clooney. And tonight, ABC News now obtaining a 4-page letter from Congressman Jamie Raskin to the president, comparing Biden to a star pitcher, what he tells the president. And if the president were to step aside, would it be Kamala Harris? Or could it be someone else at the top of the ticket? Tonight, some of the other names that have made news, what Mary Bruce and John Karl have learned. Tonight, 5 days after an attempted assassination that nearly took his life, Donald Trump will accept the nomination here in Milwaukee for the 3rd time. Trump telling ABC News he threw out his original speech after the horror on Saturday and that he will focus on unity tonight. Rachel Scott on the convention floor. We have just learned that the former president has met with embattled director of the Secret Service here in Milwaukee, and new details tonight on the suspect. Sources telling ABC News the suspect looked up Donald Trump, President Biden, the dates of Trump rallies and of the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. In Russia tonight, American journalist Evan Gershkovich on trial. This fast-moving secret trial and closing arguments now already. The U.S. tonight calling it a sham, what Russia is claiming tonight. Here in the U.S., the wealthy real estate developer in Florida accused in a murder-for-hire plot. Tonight, the FBI arresting 9 people. They say they tried to poison the wife and run her over with a flatbed truck. She survived. We're tracking severe storms across several states, thunderstorms, dangerous winds, and possible flooding. And tributes tonight for comedy icon Bob Newhart. He made generations laugh with his kind, gentle way. He was one of a kind.
From ABC News, this is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir, reporting tonight from Milwaukee.
Good evening tonight from Milwaukee. It is great to have you with us again tonight. This is the final night of the Republican National Convention. Former President Donald Trump is set to formally accept his party's nomination for a 3rd time. He'll give a major speech tonight. We'll carry it live at 10 p.m. Eastern right here on ABC. And of course, it all comes amid the breaking developments involving President Biden's campaign. The president facing growing pressure from top Democrats to step aside. Sources say former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is among those who have now delivered their concerns directly to the president. Concerned President Biden will not be able to beat Trump in November, given the polling in the key battleground states. This all comes with President Biden now off the campaign trail, recovering from COVID at his home in Delaware after testing positive at a campaign event in Nevada. The president saying he's doing well, but moving slowly when he arrived back in Delaware. Tonight, the 2 major stories here, former President Donald Trump and what he told ABC News about his speech here tonight, how it's changed after the assassination attempt. And now President Biden, is he open to discussions over whether he should stay in the race? What John Karl has learned, and ABC's chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce leading us off from Rehoboth Beach, Delaware tonight.
Tonight, President Biden isolating at his beach house recovering from COVID as calls from Democrats for him to exit the race reach a crescendo. Overnight, Biden landing in Delaware, seen walking down the stairs, telling reporters, "I'm doing well." But the president appearing to be assisted as he was getting into his car. Biden then putting on a mask. Tonight, the White House releasing a letter from the president's doctor saying Biden is still experiencing mild upper respiratory symptoms and he does not have a fever and his vital signs remain normal. The president is taking Paxlovid. Today, we heard the toll of COVID in his voice. This radio interview conducted right before he tested positive. Biden coughing as he tries to explain his disastrous debate performance.
I had been exhausted. I had been traveling around the world. I wasn't ready. And I performed terribly. And so people are now saying, well, that was only one thing. But he's 81 years old. What happens when he's 84 years old? What happens when he's 85 years old?
It comes as the country's top Democrats pressure Biden to quit the campaign. ABC News first to report that Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, in a face-to-face meeting last week, made the case it would be best if Biden dropped out of the race. Amid concerns the president's advisors aren't giving him the full picture, Schumer presenting him with polling data showing he could drag down Democrats in the House and Senate. Sources tell us former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi also delivering her blunt concerns directly. House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries delivering a similar message. But tonight, a top White House aide tells me the president is as committed as ever to staying in this race. Still, other sources say the president has absolutely been more receptive to hearing out calls for him to end his candidacy. Top Democrats know what comes next is entirely up to the president.
President Biden decides this is the toughest job in the world. I don't think I've got the ability to do it. He's going to level with the American public about it because he always puts his country over himself.
The question is, who is the president listening to? Today, ABC News obtaining a 4-page letter Congressman Jamie Raskin sent Biden over the 4th of July, imploring him to reconsider his campaign, comparing him to a baseball pitcher, saying there is no shame in taking a well-deserved bow to the overflowing appreciation of the crowd when your arm is tired out, telling Biden you are both our star pitcher and our manager, urging caucus with the team, Mr. President, hear them out. You will make the right decision. But for now, President Biden isolating at home in Rehoboth, Delaware. First Lady Jill Biden there too. The decision, his alone to make.
We're hoping for a quick recovery for the president from COVID, of course, in these last 24 hours. Mary Bruce is in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware for us tonight. And Mary, we have seen the national polling here weeks now after that poor debate performance. President Biden, Donald Trump, still locked in a very tight race nationally. Trump ahead by 1 or 2 points in many of the national polls. But obviously this race is going to be decided in those key battleground states, the Electoral College, and Trump is leading in all of those key battlegrounds. So do we know, I'm curious, if the president is being shown any polling indicating that Vice President Kamala Harris would perform any better in those key battlegrounds?
Well, David, a source tells me the president has asked to see polling on Kamala Harris and how she would do. Now, we don't know exactly what numbers he's looking at, but 2 days ago out on the campaign trail, the president saying of Harris, quote, she's not only a great vice president, she could be president of the United States. David.
All of this moving quickly. Mary Bruce leading us off. Mary, thank you. I want to bring in our chief Washington correspondent, Jonathan Karl, back with us tonight. John, you had exclusive reporting right here last night, and now you have learned tonight that the president is much more open now, receptive to these discussions about whether or not to stay in the race.
There's been a clear change. The president, I am told by multiple people close to him, is listening to the arguments of Democrats who say that he cannot win and that he should get out of the race. That said, 2 members of the president's inner circle, people very close to Joe Biden, tell us today that he is not there yet. In fact, one person close to the president tells us, who spoke to him today, tells us that he plans to be back at the White House and back on the campaign trail by next week, as soon as he recovers from COVID. That said, David, running as the nominee of a party where the entire elected leadership thinks you should go is not sustainable. Biden is listening to those arguments, but he is still, at least at the moment, insisting he's staying in.
Under extraordinary pressure, though, as you describe it. So many unknowns here. And, of course, if he were to step aside, folks at home are going to want to know, well, who would that be? Would it automatically be Vice President Kamala Harris? We know other names have been talked about in political circles. Popular Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer's name has been out there. We've seen Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear mentioned as well. How would this work, or is it impossible to know?
Well, look, the party has no shortage of rising stars that could be contending. And look, Kamala Harris would be the clear front runner. So some of those names you just mentioned could be her running mate if she were to take over. But make no mistake, no plan yet. At least Biden is not part of any plan yet.
And it's his decision to make. And as you say, as of right now, all in. Yep. John Karl tonight. John, thank you. We turn to the other news here, and it's now 5 days after that attempted assassination on Donald Trump's life. He will accept the nomination right here in Milwaukee tonight for the 3rd time. He has been here at the convention every night here. Tonight, he will be center stage. He has told ABC News he threw out his original speech after the horror on Saturday evening. So tonight, will he focus on unity? ABC's Rachel Scott on the convention floor again tonight.
5 days after he nearly lost his life to an assassin's bullet, tonight Donald Trump accepting the Republican presidential nomination for a 3rd time.
I'm not supposed to be here tonight. Not supposed to be here. No. Thank you. But I'm not. And I'll tell you, I stand before you in this arena only by the grace of Almighty God.
After the attempt on his life, Trump throwing out the convention script. The theme of the past 3 days, unity, and an effort to expand Trump's base of support.
So tonight, whether you've supported me in the past or not, I hope you will support me in the future, because I will bring back the American dream. That's what we're going to do. You don't even hear about the American dream anymore. With great humility, I am asking you to be excited about the future of our country. Be excited. Be excited.
His new running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, drawing from his working class upbringing with an appeal to the key Rust Belt swing states.
Like a lot of people, we came from the mountains of Appalachia into the factories of Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Now, it's one of the 10 poorest counties in the entire United States of America. They are very hardworking people, and they're very good people. They're the kind of people who would give you the shirt off their back even if they can't afford enough to eat.
But today in North Carolina, Vice President Kamala Harris telling voters, don't be fooled.
With the selection of his running mate this week, Donald Trump is also trying to distract people. He wants to direct attention away from his record and his Project 2025 plan to suggest that he and his running mate are going to prioritize the middle class. But we are not buying it. We are not falling for the okie doke.
The Trump campaign hoping to seize on the momentum from the Republican National Convention. Former President Donald Trump and Senator J.D. Vance will be holding their very first rally as a Republican ticket in Michigan later this weekend. The question now, does this message of unity continue? David?
Our coverage of this final night of the Republican National Convention tonight in prime time. Turn to ABC, 10 p.m. Eastern for Donald Trump's speech. Our entire time will be here, our whole team, I should say. And if we have any new reporting on President Biden's future, we're tracking that right into the night. 10 p.m. Eastern, ABC, the place to turn tonight. Thank you. In the meantime, we turn to news in the investigation into the assassination attempt. It's picking up speed tonight, and we have just learned that the former president has met with the embattled director of the Secret Service right here in Milwaukee. And new details tonight on the suspect here. Sources now telling ABC News that he looked up Donald Trump, he looked up President Biden, he looked up the dates of Trump rallies and of the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. Here's our Chief Justice correspondent, Pierre Thomas, again tonight.
Hit it like you mean it.
Tonight, we're learning more about the shooter's movements in the crucial hours before his attempted assassination of Donald Trump. This dramatic new video capturing the chaos as he took aim at that rally stage in Butler, Pennsylvania on Saturday. You hear a gunshot.
Oh, my goodness.
And see officers scrambling to climb a fence. The camera turning back toward the screaming crowd. Secret Service agents lifting up the former president as he pumps his fist in defiance.
Hit it like you mean it.
Officers ramming through that fence with a police car, racing towards the building where Thomas Matthew Crooks opened fire. We've learned Crooks searched for images of both former President Trump and President Biden on his phone, as well as the dates of Trump's rally in Butler and the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, sources say. And tonight, sources tell ABC News Crooks came to the rally site in Butler on the morning of the shooting, stayed there for an hour, then left and came back sometime in the early 5 o'clock hour. In this video taken around 5:06 p.m. and obtained by ABC affiliate WTAE, officials believe that is Crooks walking near the rally more than an hour before opening fire. Sources tell ABC News when he's near the security entrance with the magnetometers, he is a golf rangefinder, which can also be used to determine distances for target practice, and he's carrying a backpack. 5'10" Crooks is first identified as a person of interest, a full 62 minutes before the first shots. Sometime later, he climbs onto the roof using an air conditioner. At 5:52, he's spotted on the roof by Secret Service, a full 20 minutes before the shooting. At 6:02, Trump takes the stage. 6:12,
Take a look at what
Crooks
happened.
fires those shots, killing one man and nearly taking Trump's life. A Secret Service sniper taking him out. And the critical question now, why was the former president allowed to go on that stage? Sources telling ABC News, Former President Trump met with the Secret Service Director, Kim Cheadle, on Tuesday.
No.
But in a wild and unexpected moment in the hallways of the Republican convention in Milwaukee, a group of Republican senators suddenly surrounding Cheadle demanding answers, although she's scheduled to appear before Congress on Monday.
Start answering our questions right now about the death threat to President Trump and allowing him to go on stage.
The video posted on Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn's X account.
I am happy to answer questions. All right, this was an assassination attempt. You owe the people answers.
And David, as the FBI searches for motive, the fact that the shooter was looking at images of Trump and Biden raises concerns that both men may have been targets. David?
Pierre Thomas on this again tonight. Pierre, thank you. And near Butler, Pennsylvania, hundreds of people have been gathering to remember Corey Compertor, who was killed in the weekend attack in Butler. Friends invited to pay their respects at a visitation this afternoon. Long lines, as you can see, outside a hall in Freeport, Pennsylvania. Last night, an emotional goodbye at a vigil in the Lernerville Speedway. Friends sharing their memories. Compertor, a former firefighter and self-described girl dad. He died shielding his family from gunfire at that rally. A private funeral is set for tomorrow. From Russia tonight, the secret trial of Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich is speeding toward closing arguments after just 2 days. Russia's foreign minister doubling down tonight on claims Gershkovich was working for the CIA without providing any public evidence. The U.S. tonight continues to call this trial a sham. Vladimir Putin has signaled Russia is open to a prisoner swap tonight. Negotiations are ongoing. When we come back here, the wealthy real estate developer accused in a failed murder-for-hire plot, the FBI arresting 9 people tonight, saying they tried to poison his wife and ram her car with a flatbed truck. And we remember Bob Newhart tonight. We look back. Tonight, the FBI charging 9 suspects in a murder-for-hire plot in South Florida. Real estate developer Sergio Pino allegedly paying 2 groups of hitmen to kill his estranged wife. Authorities say they tried to poison her, ram her car with a flatbed truck, and shoot her. She survived, her husband taking his own life when authorities raided his house. When we come back here tonight, tracking severe storms, several states, and we remember Bob Newhart. Tonight, we're tracking severe storms across the South. A severe thunderstorm watch for Virginia and North Carolina. Winds gusting up to 70 miles per hour. Heavy rain flooding from Texas to the Carolinas over the next 3 days, in fact. When we come back here tonight, celebrating comedy genius, Bob Newhart. Finally tonight here, Bob Newhart, one of a kind.
Mr. Bob Newhart.
Bob Newhart was an accountant before turning to comedy.
You found a shell on the beach. You think that's unusual? Do you, Willard, finding a shell on the beach? What's the matter? Doesn't it sound like the ocean when you hold it up to your ear, Willard?
His deadpan delivery and kind, gentle way, making him one of the most popular TV stars of his generation.
You're sending us 80 tons of leaves? Is that right, Walt?
His stand-up skits, pretending to talk to others, were legendary. Playing an air traffic controller who's lost control.
Pan American 715. You haven't seen United 209 up there anywhere, have you?
I never really thought of comedy as a career. People had always been saying, gee, you're funny, you think funny, that's funny what you said. And just decided I was going to give it a try and see what happened.
A frequent guest on Late Night, guest hosting The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson 87 times.
He's a good friend. Would you welcome Mr. Bob Newhart? Do we have to do a commercial? Can we come back and follow up on this? Because
I won't be here, but you can.
His TV shows were incredible hits.
Hello?
First in the 70s, The Bob Newhart Show.
Good morning, Dr. Hartley.
Playing a psychologist in Chicago.
I feel so good, I'm going to take the afternoon off.
Then in the 80s, an innkeeper on the show Newhart. The series ending often called one of the most memorable in TV history, making the whole series just a dream.
I was an innkeeper in this crazy little town in Vermont.
He made generations laugh, playing opposite Will Ferrell in Elf.
Buddy, I think there's something I probably should tell you.
I learned something about comedy, that one of the functions of comedy is to help people get past a difficult time and move on with their life.
I feel very good about my career, and one of the greatest sounds in the world is laughter. And I fell in love with it the first time I heard it. And 60 years later, I was still doing it.
He was a gift. We'll see you at 10 p.m. Eastern. Former President Donald Trump takes the stage, 10 p.m. Eastern. We hope you'll turn to ABC. Good night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.